after the senators' debate on the impeachment of the deputy president. However, already the National Assembly has already called for a special sitting, that is tomorrow being on a Friday, to consider possibly a replacement of the second in command, that is Rigathi Gachagua. On Saturday, the swearing in is also anticipated, and come Mashujaa Day, the nation will have already a new deputy president, and the event will be taking place in Kwale. But before engaging my guests in the second panel, that is Honorable Dr. Pamela Oloo, former woman representative, that is Migori County, Dr. Mark Munga, technology evangelist. I'll also be joined by Nodine Kagai in studio, and as well Kennedy Ondiek, who is a political analyst. Nodine Kagai is an advocate of the High Court. Before getting to that conversation, we focus on this intense lobbying that is going on in a bid to take over from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The latest to join the fray, surprisingly, is Murang'a Governor Irungu Kang'ata, who met the former president in what appears like a move, the former premier rather, in what appears like a move to gain support from Odinga, who has now turned into President William Ruto's ally if the recent activities are anything to go by. This even as the country prepares to usher in a new deputy president as early as tomorrow, that is a Friday. Should the Senate uphold the National Assembly's resolution to impeach Rigathi Gachagua, Martin Opio reports that a defining special sitting is set for Friday that could see a new DP vetted or considered in a rush against time ahead of Mashujaa Day celebrations.
In an unprecedented move, the National Assembly set to convene on Friday, hours after the Senate will have rendered its ruling after Rigathi Gachagua impeachment trial. In the Wednesday morning session, the National Assembly revised its schedule with the purpose meant to consider priority business.
For purposes of considering priority business, including mediated bills. Honorable Speaker, the rationale for seeking a resolution of the House to alter its calendar, it is that it's so that we are able to sit on Friday, 18th October 2024, arises from the fact that we need to recover time lost.
The MPs will thereafter proceed for recess after the Mashujaa Day celebrations.
This House resolves to commence the short recess on Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, and hold sittings on Friday, 18th October 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for the morning sitting and 2:30 p.m. for the afternoon sitting, for purposes of considering priority business, including mediated bills.
Whereas Parliament maintains that the sitting will be to recover the time lost after Parliament adjourned for Gachagua's impeachment case and the Mazingira Day celebrations, the haste to which the proceedings of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua trial points to a possibility of having a new second in command by Friday of this week.
And therefore,
Senate is expected to conclude its impeachment by Thursday late evening, where they will vote on every charge. If impeached, President Ruto is expected to nominate a new DP by Friday morning, who will then be vetted by Parliament during the special sitting. Article 149 of the Constitution provides that the President has room to fill the vacancy of his deputy within 14 days after a vacancy arises. This means that the President has the leeway to appoint a deputy immediately. The time frame for the Deputy President to lodge an injunction against the resolution might not work in his favor, as it might be filed on a Friday leading to the weekend. Article 148 of the 2010 Constitution makes it clear that the seat of a Deputy President may fall vacant under the circumstances of a resignation, death, or removal from office of the Deputy President. The DP will cease holding the office upon confirmation of charges leveled against him by the Senate. But as the legislative houses continue deliberating on the fate of Gachagua, intense mobilization for the position continues. In a surprise move, Murang'a Governor Irungu Kang'ata has elicited mixed reactions after a visit to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and his wife Ida Odinga. Odinga now touted a key ally of President Ruto, and the meeting appeared to be rattling political feathers and not just coincidence as they regard the succession gains momentum. Since retreating to focus on Murang'a County after his election as governor, Kang'ata has largely stayed out of the national spotlight. On X, Irungu noted that the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga invited him on consultation purposes. They had a good conversation on national cohesion and the progress the country has made under devolution. The meeting with the former premier comes just hours after several legislators surprisingly threw their weight behind the soft-spoken Kang'ata.
Governor Irungu Kang'ata has risen through the ranks from a councillor to a member of parliament to senator and to governor. So occasionally we usually have such kind of meetings with progressive leaders to share with us their experience in leadership, how they've been able to get to this level without a lot of, because it looks so easy. Like, how is it possible for one to become a councillor, then becomes a member of parliament, then becomes a senator, then governor? So we and do very, very well.
Mount Kenya is keen to maintain the position based on how the region voted in the last elections, having massively backed Ruto's first-term bid. Leaders from the larger Mount Kenya region are scrambling to ensure the seat remains in the region, fueling tension and divisions among them. Another contender is immediate Council of Governor Chair and Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, who has not shied away from expressing her desire to be the country's second-in-command. Over the weekend, Waiguru put out a CV of her achievements on X since her time as civil servant and on the public glare. Waiguru has since embarked on a spirited campaign to popularize her bid to succeed Gachagua.
Anne Waiguru ako Kirinyaga County, uongozi wake uko sawa, hospitali zake zinafanya vizuri, njia zake ziko sawa, at least tuwekewe Anne Waiguru.
Sisi tunaona kama wakaaji wa huku ni vizuri hii kiti irudi Mount Kenya ipewe gavana wa Kirinyaga Anne Waiguru.
Yeye ako na experience ya kutosha, amefanya kazi ya kutosha, amelinda wa governors for 2 terms, amekuwa governor. Mbona asipewe hicho kiti?
Naomba saa hii tuchaguliwe Anne Mombi Waiguru, na ni mumama. Ujue huyo mumama atatulinda, atatuangalia Mount Kenya juu iko down.
On the other hand, Kithure Kindiki, who currently holds the Interior Ministry mantle, has been mentioned severally, having been in competition with the Gachagua in the run-up to the 2022 elections to be President Ruto's running mate.
Yule anasema mlima ni yake isiguzwe. Sisi tunasimama hapa tukisema huu ni wakati wa Kithure Kindiki, sababu ni yeye anaunganisha mlima, anaunganisha Meru yote, tukisema ni yeye kingpin, na tumekataa maneno ya wale wanasema mlima ni yao. Sisi kwa wakati mrefu sana tukiwa kutoka Dhochi mpaka Tonyere tumekuwa tukisupport watu wa Mount Kenya West,
kuwakilisha wamama wenzetu ambao tuko wengi katika Meru County, na tunasema Kithure Kindiki, mchapakazi, kazi yako ambao umefanya miaka 2 ambao umechaguliwa kuwa waziri wa interior ndio imekufanya kila mtu katika Kenya mzima awe anakutetea, na ndio sababu tumesimama na wewe.
Musalia Mudavadi, on the other hand, has been a favorite of President Ruto and has proven to be a right-hand man of Ruto and has seen him rise to the various ranks. With Gachagua's ouster, Mount Kenya might prove sloppy for Ruto, who has been keen to appease the western region in a bid to have their backing. If Ruto loses the Mount Kenya backyard, then he will have to turn to his newest ally, Raila Odinga, to have his support. Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga has had her name pop up in the conversation. Wanga has enjoyed a close relationship with Ruto, and her name popping up to consolidate the Nyanza support base and rekindle his 2007 support base will not be a surprise. For now, all eyes will be on the National Assembly come Friday. Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Well, and as promised, it's time to have yet another conversation on this important day that Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will know his fate on whether he remains in office or will be impeached. This is the first case or scenario under our 2010 Constitution. In studio, I'll be joined shortly by Nudin Kagai, who is an advocate of the High Court, and as well, Kennedy Ondieka, political analyst. But right now, let me drop in Dr. Pamela Oloo, she is the former Migori County MP, that is a woman rep. And shortly also I'll be joined by Dr. Mark Munga, who is a technology evangelist. But let's drop in Dr. Pamela, good morning. The D-Day is here. Rigathi Gachagua will know his fate by the stroke of midnight. And already there is anticipation that a new nominee will be named by tomorrow morning as the National Assembly moves on to consider the name and the swearing in to take place on Saturday. What do you make of the happenings as far as the presidency is concerned?
Good morning, Chacha, and good morning, Kenya. I think Kenyans are witnessing something that, like you put it, has not really happened before, impeaching a sitting deputy president. However, I think there's been a lot of anxiety around this issue, especially the way it's been, the process has been moving forward. There are those who hold the feeling that it has been rather haphazardly done and in such a hurry and mobilizing people, whipping people politically. Yes, I concur. Impeachment is actually more of a political process, the way it has been done. Looking at what was happening in the Senate yesterday, you saw the mover of this motion in the National Assembly, Honorable Mutuse, was rather fumbling in his defense and readiness to answer this question. This again, as of yesterday, left quite a number of people wondering, like, is he really serious about all these things? Is there any serious constitutional reforms that D.P. Gachagua has really made in Kenya? Having said that, the issue is tomorrow, as you put it, he'll be waiting to know his fate, and at the same time, there would be a need to forward names for consideration. And all this, I think, again, maybe, according to me, really, really hard, because if he's to know his fate today, then there ought to be been a window of patience to wait for the process to actually conclude, so that we know for sure he's been impeached, and that is the fate of what is awaiting him, and then the process of the names begins. As you see, guys are already listing, if I may use a high school word for those who want to be leaders, listing already for the position. It is like, yeah, let's push him out and then bring in somebody else. I think that leaves a lot to be desired, but I would want to also wait for the process to conclude, like the senators to tell us the verdict of what they have come up with as far as the case of the DP and that impeachment is concerned.
Well, Dr. Pamela, hang in there. I'll be getting back to you shortly. And now also let's engage Dr. Mark Munga, technology evangelist. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark. I can see you're not in the country. Where are you at? And I believe you've been following what has been happening in our political space. What do you make of Gachagua's impeachment motion that is now before the Senate?
I believe that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you.
Reduce my volume so that there is no echo from my side. It's politics on steroids. that is. Can you hear me, Jordan?
Yes, I can hear you. What's your location, Dr. Mark Munga? I understand you've been traveling here and there.
Joel, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you, Dr. Mark. I'm also inquiring of your location, understanding you are on transit.
No, actually, I am. I got back and I'm in Fangano Island in Lake Victoria. Homa Bay County. That basically just tells you the beauty of technology, which is something I really appreciate K24 for. What's happening now, and I was in the village last night with villagers, and we were watching. It's not really the drama, but the movie of that is happening in the Senate. But then, Joel, what you've just said, which actually, is what even the villagers know. They even know that swearing in of a new DP will be on Saturday, and on Sunday will be the first assignment of that new DP to invite the president on Mashujaa Day. I mean, that to me is what we call politics on steroids. The impeachment process, by any means and by all means, it's a political process. It is not even a legal process. It is a political process, and that is really what's playing out. Kenyans are basically watching this very fast movie playing out. But the other thing, Joel, that is happening now is that we are, and this to me is the most critical statement that I wanted to make. We are watching, we are testing the tenets of our constitution. That's really what's happening. And you always hear the Americans say that, the United States is an experiment. And even in Kenya today, our political process, when we are trying and testing the tenets of our constitution, this is as well an experiment. And so I see Kenya as an experiment, and I see us testing the tenets of our constitution and trying to see if it can really work. And our democracy is an experiment. It's something that I'm appreciating. But this is purely, Joel, let us not be confused. This is a political process. It's not even a legal process. It is a political process, and that is politics at its best.
Dr. Pamela, just to engage you yet again, you sat in the National Assembly in the 12th Parliament. Would the grounds that have been presented by Mwengi Mutuse have amounted to the removal of the second in command, and as well the first day of the proceedings at the Senate? Did Mwengi Mutuse appear to understand what he really actually alleged against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, the 11 grounds for removal from office?
I have sat in the National Assembly, and as it were, the Constitution stipulates that a Deputy President can be impeached on 3 grounds. They talk of a violation of the Constitution. There is the issue of gross misconduct. And what the 11 grounds look like, yes, they looked and sound very serious allegations. But what is amazing, and what some of the Kenyan population have been wondering, some of the crimes that the deputy presidents are allegedly being accused of are things that did not just happen yesterday. They are things that are being dug back into the past. And unfortunately, some of these things have never been prosecuted anywhere. Nobody arrested him, nobody took him to court. Allegations like inheriting his brother's estates and such like things, those are family issues. And funny enough, we've never seen the immediate family of the late Gachagua come out in the open to complain about that arrangement and many other things. So I think at some stage there is this feeling I have that the National Assembly did not do a real due diligence to bring out the actual crimes against the Constitution that the DP might have committed in this land. You remember some time back he had been accused of acquiring some 200 million fraudulently, a case that was under the prosecution for some time. But when they came to power, together with President Ruto, Kenyans saw this case being withdrawn and this money actually refunded. From where I sit, the interpretation is he was found to be not guilty. The courts or whoever was prosecuting in this case must have acquitted him, and therefore he stands not guilty. And so all these other fraudulent issues that are being mentioned, the real proof, the burden of proof, still rested with the mover of this motion and the entire National Assembly to prove them beyond any reasonable doubt, including subjecting them to a legal process that would actually pronounce the DP guilty. But as it was today, that's why now we are still waiting for the National Assembly, actually, as was displayed yesterday through the mover. He was a bit shaky. He was not really sure that these allegations he's making against the DP have got grounds that are sufficient really to impeach him. So that's why I told you earlier, it might be good to wait and see how the Senate actually deliberates upon these issues and the proofs of burden that are there. So I think the National Assembly in the next impeachment motion against anyone may have to up their game so that they pass judgments that do not look like they can be challenged by anyone.
Well,
Maybe
Dr.
that's
Pamela,
what I would say
hang
for
in
now.
there. I'll be getting back to you shortly after this short commercial break. Also, I still have Dr. Mark Munga coming to us live from Mfangano Island, that is in Homa Bay County. He'll also be telling us whether he believes Gladys Wanga could replace Rigathi Gachagua. Keep the conversation going by social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Tesha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of our screens. When we come back, I'll also be engaging Nudin Kagai, who is an advocate of the High Court. We take a short commercial break. Stay tuned right here on K24.